2 security guards of the Cape Town City Improvement District and 2 policemen. Notes that the man who posed no visible threat was stripped naked in the street and held by the security guards while he was repeatedly hit and kicked in the groin by the policemen in the full view of the public before he was bundled into a vehicle and taken to a police station where he was released without being charged. Notes, we further concerned that this policeman afterwards attempted to arrest a member of the public who captured the whole incident on a video with a cell phone, apparently in an attempt to destroy this damning evidence, condemns this barbaric brutality and the attempted arrest of the member of the public in the strongest possible terms, and welcomes the swift action to suspend the security guards and the policemen who were involved, and calls on the Minister of Police to intervene as a matter of urgency and to implement appropriate measures to ensure once and for all that command and control in the police is drastically improved and that policemen are properly trained so as to root out brutality within the police service. I so move, Chair.
An objection to the motion? Agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Kekese. Time for question is over. I'll only give 2 after Kekese, then we close, we go to the questions.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. On behalf of the African National Congress, I hereby move without notice that the Council notes with great appreciation the news that ESCOM is doing all it can to prevent further power cuts. Further note that last week ESCOM introduced emergency power cuts in certain areas called load shedding to prevent a collapse of the national power grid because coal suppliers for electricity generators became wet in the past 2 weeks' persistent rain, and applauds the commitment by ESCOM in ensuring that more load shedding is prevented, and all South Africans to also play their part by ensuring that they reduce electricity usage. I also move, Honorable Chair.
An objection to the motion? Yes. Grade 2 in terms of Section 65 of Constitution. Honorable Kamete? Yes, Chairperson. You're objecting? Yes. Mr. Tivilas, there are ways you raise your hand, you stand up and you object. I can't hear you if you just say yes. Yeah. I object, Chairperson. Be noted, please. Take your mic, let be noted in your microphone.
I object, Chairperson, on that motion.
All right. In the light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become a notice of a motion. Honorable Kamete?
Thanks, Chairperson.
Order, honorable members.
Chairperson, I hereby move without notice that firstly the ANC welcomes Honorable Bev Abrams back to the ANC. And the ANC notes that she could not withstand the racism and unprogressive actions against the people of South Africa by the DA. And we congratulate her for taking this bold decision. Secondly, thanks Honorable Dechale also for welcoming back plus minus 1,800 members from EFF to the ANC in Limpopo. Lastly, Chairperson, the people of South Africa cannot be fooled. Whether you tell more lies each day about the ANC, the people of South Africa know that the ANC is moving forward with them. I so move.
No objection to the motion? No objection? Oh. In the light of the objection, are you objecting? In the light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become a notice of a motion. Honorable Chief Whip.
Chair, I hereby move without notice that the House notes that on the eve of the International Women's Day on the 7th of May, 2014, the ANC Women's League hosted a gala dinner in Rustenburg in honor of the struggle veterans Mayor Ruth Mumpati and Mayor Gertrude Shope. Further notes that Mayor Ruth Mumpati and Mayor Getty are among the fearless heroines of our nation who dedicated their lives to the fight for freedom and gender equality in South Africa, and takes the opportunity to join the ANC Women's League and millions of women across South Africa in honor of these veterans of our liberation for their selfless role in the fight for freedom and the advancement of women in South Africa. Enokokugqibela mhlali ngaphambili, umphokoqo unexhala masabeke elangeni. We welcome everyone back. Malibongwe.
Any objection to that motion? Agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. The last one will be Mamdi Khale. Are you still moving your motion?
Thank you, Chairperson. I hereby move without notice that the Council notes the severe floods in several provinces throughout South Africa and that have resulted in the death of several people and left damages worth millions of rands. Further notes that 6 people have drowned in various parts of Mpumalanga due to heavy flooding, including a 12-year-old boy from Emelo who drowned swimming in the area, and 2 bodies of men that were recovered at the weekend in Amersfoort and Hendrina. Further notes that last Friday, 3 men aged 20, 30, and 46 drowned in Schoemansdal, Leidenburg, and Amersfoort, and that a man who fell into the Crocodile River in Cheyenne just outside Nelspruit on Friday while crossing a bridge is still missing. In Limpopo, a 74-year-old man drowned and his 69-year-old wife is still missing when they were swept away with her husband while swimming in an undercover swimming pool in the Kariba Lodge when the Bela Dam overflowed and parts of it collapsed. Takes this opportunity to convey its heartfelt condolences to the families of those who lost their lives due to these heavy floods and appeal to South Africans to exercise extreme caution. I so move.
Section 65 of the Constitution. That concludes question time. Honorable members, we'll now go to the questions. I'm informed that the Deputy Minister of Justice will be the one to start. Am I correct, Chief Whip? Thank you. The first question to the Minister of Justice is from Honorable Makubela. I will then allow the Deputy Minister, or Honorable Jeffrey, to respond to the question. And welcome all the ministers that are present in the House. Thank you very much for coming.
Chairperson, thanks very much for accommodating me. I've also got to be in the National Assembly to speak in a second reading debate on a justice bill, and thanks to the Minister of Correctional Services for letting me go ahead of him. The first part of the question relates to allegations made in the City Press on the 9th of February this year against the Provincial Director of Public Prosecutions in KwaZulu-Natal, Advocate Norco, under the headline, and I quote, "Busted top prosecutor in trouble after cameras catch her dumping files from Sean Mpisane's tax fraud trial." Close quote. Advocate Norco provided an explanation that was accepted by the NPA, and on the basis of that explanation, the NPA challenged the editorial ethics of the City Press. Subsequently, City Press and the journalist admitted that the story was false and there was never any evidence to support the allegations. The alleged footage did not exist, and the files seen in the photos are still stored with the clerk. On the 23rd of February 2014, City Press printed a retraction and apology. Amongst others, the journalist wrote, "My trusted source played me for a fool and used me, I assume as part of a bid to make Norco look incompetent. I'm very sorry for the damage my error has caused." So the question of taking disciplinary steps against Advocate Norco therefore doesn't arise. I'm surprised, though, that the Honourable Member did not withdraw the first part of the question after that. The second and third part of the question relate to the dropping of charges against Sean Mpisane. The advocate who was initially tasked to prosecute in the State versus S. Mpisane case is highly skilled. In her 20-year tenure as a prosecutor, she's dealt with many serious and complex commercial crime cases in a competent manner. The circumstances that led to the current status of the Mpisane matter, therefore, is unlikely to be attributed to ineptitude, inexperience, or lack of skill. An internal investigation has been conducted by the NPA, and the report is being submitted to the CEO of the NPA and the National Director of Public Prosecutions for consideration. The necessary steps will be taken after carefully studying the report and its recommendations. The NPA has a very active media relations component that provides facts about prosecution-related processes, cases, and outcomes thereof to the public through the media. The organization also continuously runs public education and awareness campaigns in all media platform types and through direct community outreach events. And I thank you.
Honorable Makubela, any follow-up question? Satisfied, thank you. Any other follow-up question? None, we proceed to question 3. Honorable Jeffrey.
Thanks, Chairperson. It's also from the Honorable Makubela. 7 persons have been charged with the murder of the late Major General Maswanganyi, all of whom are in custody. I'm unsure what the Honourable Member means with the second part of the question, which was what type of intelligence does this case provide to his department, and B, what are the details of this intelligence? We were not able to particularly sure what the Honourable Member was meeting there, but matters relating to the investigation should be referred to the Minister of Police, as it's the South African Police Service who are investigating this matter.
Honorable Makubela, any follow-up question?
Don't have a follow-up question.
Thank you. Any other follow-up question? No, we proceed to question 8. Honorable Jeffrey.
Going a bit quickly. This is then to the Honourable Chief Whip regarding sexual offences courts. The Minister established the Ministerial Advisory Task Team on Sexual Offences in June 2012 to investigate the viability of the re-establishment of sexual offences courts in South Africa. The task team conducted a series of research studies, and it was in August last year when it made an official handover of their final report to the Minister with recommendations that primarily supported the re-establishment of sexual offences courts in South Africa. 10 sexual offences courts have thus far been established in the current financial year. These courts are at Butterworth. They're all on a regional court level. 2 in Palm Ridge, 1 at Ntuzuma, Potchefstroom, Welkom, 3 at Wynberg, and 1 at Lephalale. With regard to the second part of the question as to whether these courts are succeeding in improving the management of sexual offences in a manner that protects the dignity of the victim, no evaluation has as yet been conducted as we are still establishing these courts. However, previous research done in this regard by both government and non-government organizations indicates that dedicated attention to sexual offences matters in specific courts have succeeded in managing such cases in a manner that protects the dignity of the victim. And just maybe to add, I mean, part of the setup of the sexual offences courts is that the victim is able to testify not in open courtroom, but in another room, which is then relayed to the courtroom through closed-circuit television. The victim is able to see the proceedings in the courtroom and, if necessary, testify through an intermediary. So one would expect that it would make it easier for testimony to be given. Thank you.
Chief Whip, any follow-up? No, thank you. Thank you. Any other follow-up question? No, we proceed to question 17. Honorable Jeffrey. By Mr. Mokhobe. No, I'm sorry, question 14.
Yeah.
By Mr. Honorable Temba.
It was relating to job creation by the Department of Justice, and the answer is yes, new jobs have been created. Positions within the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development are created based on the need identified. So, for example, whether a newly proclaimed courts or an expansion of services. 347 new posts were created in the 2012-2013 financial year and 117 posts in this financial year. The posts are mainly on the production level and are in court services, family advocates, state attorneys, promotion of the rights of vulnerable groups, and financial management. The new positions referred to are all permanent positions, which were created after a thorough work study or job evaluation and were created to enhance service delivery in relevant areas. Apart from these permanent posts that I've spoken about, the department also created 1,375 contract posts during the 2012-13 financial year, and there's a provincial and national breakdown of those posts, but for the honourable member from Mpumalanga, it was 68 contract posts in Mpumalanga. For the current financial year, 1,555 contract posts were created. And again, there's a breakdown which would be in the answer, and for the Honourable Member, 78 in Mpumalanga. As part of the Department's Human Resource Development Strategy, the Department also during these financial years placed interns, learners, article clerks or candidate attorneys within the different components of the Department. Legal Aid South Africa takes on approximately 350 candidate attorneys each year. The Department has also advertised for 400 interns this year. There are also 55 court-connected mediation interns, and Justice College will be training 200 unemployed learners as paralegals. Over and above the above mentioned, the Department's activities also result in indirect job opportunities being created in the different sectors, such as construction when a new court is built, cleaning and maintenance services. I don't have the figure. Honourable Member would be aware that there is a new High Court being built at Nelspruit and Bombela, so there obviously would be a number of jobs created around that project as well. Thank you.
Honorable Rota, any follow-up question on behalf of Ms. Temba? None. Any other follow-up? Mr. Worth and Mr. Lees will ask follow-up questions.
Thank you, Chairperson. Through you to the Deputy Minister, of the 347 jobs that have been created, what is the position with regard to interpreters? Is there a shortage of interpreters, or has that been taken into account? Thank you, Chair.
Deputy Minister?
Chairperson, I unfortunately don't have any. The question was general, so I don't have any details regarding a specific component of interpreters.
Honorable Lees?
Mr. Chairman, through you to the Minister, thank you very much for the opportunity. Honourable Minister, you talk about a number of jobs that have been created, and that's great. I mean, we need the jobs desperately. But, Honourable Minister, has one of these jobs been allocated to the disgruntled DA member who's resigned because she cannot be re-elected? Is this one of the promises she's been made by the ANC?
Honourable Member, that's a specific question that relates to a specific member. I don't think the Minister can be in a position to respond to that question.
Chairperson, thanks. I mean, I think the Honourable Lees is just, and thank you for the promotion, by the way. Unfortunately, you don't appoint ministers. But I think the Honourable Lees was really just politicking, so I can't even dignify that with a reply.
Don't answer the question. It's a specific question to a specific member. Question 17, Honourable Mkhobi, asking the Deputy Minister.
Chairperson, thanks. It's a relatively long answer, so it will be, the reply would be submitted, but it's relating to whether the JCPS cluster has reviewed its performance, and the answer is no. The Justice, Crime Prevention and Security cluster hasn't done any formal review on the impact of its interventions in the past 4 years. The clusters focused on implementing the delivery agreement, which was signed in October 2010, which provided for specific deliverables by the cluster for the duration of this period. So because that period is not over, there hasn't been a need for a review. However, ongoing considerations on the effectiveness of the interventions are undertaken as part of the operations which assist in deciding on additional interventions that may be dictated by the situation at hand, such as the scourge of sexual violence against women and children that has engulfed our society in the recent past, which has resulted in the re-establishment of sexual offences courts. In the ordinary course of planning arising from the previous review, which had resulted in the 7-point plan to address the criminal justice system, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development developed specific strategies and interventions to respond to the findings of that review. The Department has ensured the effectiveness of the criminal justice system by paying special attention to the roles and responsibilities of each player in the cluster. This coordinated work has resulted in the improvement in outcomes experienced from the courts. The conviction rate, for example, in high courts is now at 89%, regional courts 75.8%, district courts 93.4%. And specifically in different categories, the conviction rate in organized crime is 87.9%, the conviction rate in trio crimes 84.7%, and sexual offences, which are always more difficult to convict, 66.7%. And offenders then have the number of people sentenced. I maybe need to be careful about raising this with the Minister of Correctional Services sitting next to me, but there's been an increase in the number of offenders who have been given long sentences for serious offences. So 15 to 20 years, 12,104 people, life sentences, 12,443 people. The delivery agreement is linked to the tenure of the current administration, and in terms of this agreement, every year when the department develops and reviews its strategic plan and annual performance plan, it considers the progress made and puts in place certain strategies to address the challenges identified in the previous year. And the plan includes improving the coordination and leadership in the JCPS cluster, and also interventions to protect vulnerable groups specifically. That relates to the sexual offences courts that are being established. It also relates to the issue of children, and what's noteworthy is the number of children in remand detention, and hopefully, the Minister of Correctional Services will be happy with this one. The number of children in remand detention has decreased from 771 in 2008-9 to 135 in 2012-13. And the number of preliminary inquiries conducted in terms of the Child Justice Act from 14,000 in 2010-11 to 25,000 in 2012-13. And the number of children sentenced to imprisonment in correctional service facilities decreased from 884 in 08-09 to 410 in 2011-12. So there's more detail in the written reply, but I think because of time, let me stop at this point, Chairperson. Thank you.
Honorable Mukobi, any follow-up question? Any other follow-up question from any member? No, we move to question 25, Honorable Matila, to the Deputy Minister.
Chairperson, thanks. Yes, budget cuts have impacted negatively on the department's ability to achieve its strategic objectives, especially in relation to properly maintained infrastructure, a secure court environment, expansion of justice service points, and the expansion of IT network infrastructure to rural and remote courts and offices. Budget cuts haven't really affected capital works projects because of the delays in the rollout by public works, but the allocations to capital works had to be reprioritized to leases which were seriously underfunded. There'd already been backlogs on leases and municipal services which were built up as a result of annual allocations being at 5.5% for leases, which was lower than the industry pricing, which was at 8%. In addition, there were also major price escalations for electricity as approved by the electricity regulator, which had to be absorbed from the department's own budget. Reallocated funds totaled 200 million rand, which assisted in the shortfall, which was standing at 226 million at the time. The cost for providing security services to justice infrastructure, courts and service points has been escalating, and the budget cuts put severe strain on these services. We've rationalized the security contract seriously and reprioritized with other parts of the business to fund the security services. As far as strategies and measures to put in place, the yield on cost containment measures in the department between the 2010-11 and 2013-14 on third quarter results shows an average saving on consultant costs of 5.2% and a saving of 12.7% on local travel and subsistence. The department has reprioritized its projects and reorganized its activities and resources according to these priorities, and also improved its risk management process so as to ensure that where project implementation is in one area is affected by circumstances outside the department's control, these funds can be allocated immediately to other priorities. We've managed to reduce cash and transit security costs by 33%. That's from 108 million to 78 million through the implementation of more effective electronic payment systems and a resultant reduction in cash handling at court. And the department has further embarked on a court efficiency project to review its operational processes that will contribute to efficiency gains in the near future. National Treasury has been supportive in this regard, and the funding of the commissions of inquiry and supplementary funding for the higher wage bill are examples of the reallocation of funds within the departmental portfolio. We are, however, under some pressure regarding support for the lower courts. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Mr. Matila.
Chair, the point I wanted to raise, and the reason why we raised this particular situation, was that for more than 5 years, we we have been, I must indicate that in terms of the regional court in Mamelodi, the soil has been turned. To date, we have always been informed that even in the last financial year, that court is going to be built, and we wanted to understand as to what is the problem and what is the situation, and how does this particular cuts affect the building of these particular institutions and courts in as far as this particular area is concerned. The last deputy minister indicated in this particular house that in this financial year, this court will be built to date, and that's why we were worried as to what has happened, because the impression created to the community outside there, was that this process will take place now and move forward in as far as this particular situation is concerned. And that's the reason why we asked this particular question, Chair.
That's an input, Deputy Minister. You want to say something on it?
Look, I don't have a specific response on the building of the regional court at Mamelodi, but I undertake to find out what the issues are and get back to the Honourable Matila.
Thank you very much. That deals with questions on justice. Question 28 is out in terms of Rule 246. Mr. Worth, do you have a follow-up question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'd like to ask the Deputy Minister through you, is it a fact that the security for all courts are outsourced in this country? And bearing in mind to the question on the budget, what is the amount spent on security for courts that is outsourced? Thanks, Chair.
Deputy Minister.
Chairperson, that's really a new question. I don't have that figure. So maybe Mr. Worth could table it as a question.
Okay. Thank you. That deals with the justice questions. We now move to correctional service questions that we have skipped earlier. You are excused, Deputy Minister. Thank you very much. Mr. Makate asking question 9 to the Minister of Correctional Service. Ms. Kasmeni will stand in for Mr. Ram. The question is asked by Honorable Makate. Ms. Makate will be represented by Ms. Kasmeni. That's what my list says. Don't confuse me. Who's representing Ms. Makate? It's Ms. Kasmeni. That's a correct list I got from the Chief Whip. Now, if you are changing, tell me you are changing so that I can change. Who will be? Honorable Minister.
Question number 9.
Yes, question number 9.
Thank you very much. The question is about maybe let me just go straight to the reply. In line with Section 73 of the Correctional Services Act, the so-called Waterkloof 4 were released on parole after serving 5.5 years of their 11-month sentence in February 2014. Recently, Tessa Pierte was released on parole from a Brazilian prison after spending 5.5 years of her 12-year sentence, just to show that this is an international norm, that once you do this percentage of your sentence, you qualify for parole. On the 16th of February, 2 of the Waterkloof 4, Frikkie du Preez and Christopher Becker, were rearrested following publication of a video. On 28 February, the Hoshimampuru, the Second Correctional Supervision and Parole Board, revoked the parole of du Preez and Becker. The decision of the Correctional Supervision and Parole Board was that du Preez and Becker will only be due for reconsideration of placement on parole after serving an additional 12 months. The department was informed that Becker has written a letter stating that he accepts responsibility for his deeds. He does apologize, particularly for foolishness. And he will use the next 12 months, that's what he says, to show the public and correctional official authorities that he is rehabilitating. We'll see as 12 months goes. Whilst rehabilitation seems to have had a positive impact on Gert van Skalkwyk and Reinhard Tier, the other two of the so-called Waterkloof 4, the actions of Becker and Dupreez raise questions about their rehabilitation and readiness to return to society as ideal citizens. The investigation into the role of correctional officials in this case of the Waterkloof 2 has been completed. Those officials found guilty face severe sanctions, including dismissal and never being employed in the public service again. We'll note here that these officials are in their early 30s, so that they still at almost 30 years of professional service, which they've really ruined. DCS is also at an advanced stage of introducing a new generation of security technology in our facilities, including technology to detect and jam cell phones. So it is not going to be an issue of just searching and getting cell phones, but we have begun in some centers to render any cell phone useless by jamming it. The correctional service has no place for criminals and ill-disciplined officials. Last year, 251 DCS officials were dismissed or demoted. The officials dismissed include 3 directors, that's 3 senior managers, as well as middle managers. On the 21st August, Mr. Francis Mukwitli Kwela, who was employed at the Legal Services Directorate, was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment after he was dismissed for fraud amounting to 1.823 million, and another official is still standing trial in the same case. All criminal cases were handed over to the SAPS for criminal investigation. Parole is used internationally to place offenders under supervision within the community. In South Africa, an average of 3,827 offenders are granted parole every month. In addition to the 158,000 in custody in the 243 centers, 63,000 offenders are under community supervision and live in their respective communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Any follow-up question from any member? No. We then move to the next question. That is question 10 by Ms. Mavi to the Minister of Correctional Services. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. The question whether we have got measures in place to ensure the youth offenders in correctional centers are targeted for rehabilitation and skills development. Yes, the department regards the youth as part of a special category of offenders with special needs, and their rehabilitation needs are addressed holistically. At least 95% of those incarcerated will return to society after serving their sentence. Offenders must return as better and changed law-abiding citizens. We are turning our correctional centers into centers of learning. Offenders must read, must study, and work. We must impact on the hearts, heads, and hands of offenders so that upon their release, they are in a position of at least a certificate in one hand and skills on the other. Key to rehabilitation is empowering offenders to function effectively upon their release, but equally important is to ensure that offenders are involved in productive activity while they serve their sentences. As of February this year, 97% of offenders serving sentences longer than 24 months had correctional sentence plans. From 1st April, it is compulsory for every inmate without a qualification equivalent to grade 9 to complete adult basic education and training, level 1 to 4. Since this announcement, there has been an overwhelming response from offenders. Offenders are also being trained as literacy facilitators to teach functionally and totally illiterate offenders to read, write, spell, and study. We have partnered with the Department of Basic Education to utilize offender labor to build schools and manufacture furniture. We have also implemented a victim offender dialogue and prison ministries, that is prison religious and spiritual ministries. A youth tool was specifically developed to assist with the implementation of correctional programs for the youth with animation and sound effects, which is implemented nationally. The tool targets substance abuse, sexual offending, behavior, anger management, and crossroads program. The crossroads program covers a wide scope of topics such as criminal behavior as well as alcohol and drug abuse. On the question of this drug abuse, we are noting with great alarm that the drug users are becoming younger and younger, and there are more females that are coming in, young females that are arrested and sentenced for drug abuse, usage, trafficking, and all that. It forms part of the scope of the existing 11 correctional programs that are implemented, and the tool complements the contents of the 4 correctional programs referred to. The animation and sound effects of the tool were found to be highly effective and applicable to youth offenders. Correctional intervention officials were orientated nationally to implement the youth tool. We also include their social work services, which cater for youth offenders' basic individual and age-appropriate needs, and promote societal responsibility by linking youth offenders with their families for successful reintegration. Youth programs, social workers render the following programs that target the needs of youth offenders: youth resilience and enhancement programs, cool and fit for life programs. And then we've got psychological services also targeted at the youth offenders. All youth offenders are targeted for educational programs and are assessed from time to time for placement in various formal education programs. During this process, they are also informed about the availability of an array of rehabilitation programs at the center of incarceration. The following measures and plans are in place to ensure that youth offenders in correctional centers are targeted and taken to skills development programs. Qualified DCS staff, including technical educators, are employed to provide FET college programs. There's national certificate, vocational, and engineering studies and business studies. Partnerships are established with external service providers for provision of skills training programs, that is vocational and basic occupational skills training programs. And the implementation protocol agreement has been signed with the Department of Higher Education and Training to avail national skills funds for offender training.
Let me first ask Minister whether there are follow-up questions. Ms. Mabe, any follow-up question? Yes, come.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for telling a good story. I just want to check if there's any mechanism applied to monitor progress, consistency, and sustainability after they've left the prison. Thanks, Chair.
Honorable Minister.
We say that corrections is a societal program. And once people leave our facilities for various reasons, sometimes the court sentences somebody not to go to a correctional facility, but to be out there in the community. And that depends so much on the family, the community, and the rest of society to ensure that that person behaves. Correctional services are provided in that person usually is sentenced to report once a week, once a month, once a fortnight, and so forth, so that there is supervision out there. But as soon as they are out of our eyes, then of course they can offend and then sober up when they've got to report. That's why we need communities and the forums that we are creating out there in the communities called Victim Offender Dialogue ensures that the community is involved. They know. We want each municipality to know that such and such a person is going to be released into the community because he's finished his sentence or is now qualified to go out. And once it's out there, you must know that there is a person who has been serving a sentence for rape is now in the community. You should know that, and it's part of protecting communities so that they know that this person is out, can no longer be in the facility because he has finished his sentence or he now qualifies to be out. But we are monitoring him, and the community must be with us in that. There is a person who is in this particular release for sentences for this particular offense, like for instance child abuse, which is a serious matter because you can never know a person who rapes or who abuses children. You don't know whether after 2 years is all right or after 20 years is all right. You don't know that. In front of you is okay, but he can go and rape that same day. Or another one stays for 2 months and is out and never does it again. So that you need that partnership with the community, with the family to monitor this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Any other follow-up question? None. We proceed to question 11 by Honorable Mavi to the Minister of Correctional Service. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. This relates to the budget, whether the reduced budgetary allocation to his department will in any way impact negatively on the ability. Fortunately, our budget has not been reduced. The department's budget has not been reduced. On the contrary, the budget allocation for health care services in correctional services continues to increase as follows. 2013-2014, for health, it was 657 million. And 2014-2015, it's going to be 693 million. And then followed by 693, followed by 748 million for 2015-2016. And then 2016-2017 is 748 million. That is the allocation for health care in correctional centers. In terms of Section 12 of the Correctional Services Act, primary health care services are rendered to inmates in all correctional centers. This is a nurse-driven service, and when required, inmates are referred to medical practitioners. As per policy, on a daily basis, each inmate is seen in the morning, and the standard question is, enige klachten of bezoektes. That's a standard thing when we are inside, and you then say headache, slechte drome, and so forth. And then you are recording, so that they are seen every day, and they record those that required medical attention are referred to the resident nurse, and then they are referred to the doctor as the case may be. So that all offenders are afforded an opportunity to register any complaint or request with officials of DCS, as well as independent correctional services visitors from the judicial services. Government has stepped up its efforts to fight tuberculosis in correctional centers. On the 24th of March 2013, on World TB Day, together with Minister Mtswaledi, we accompanied Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe to Pollsmoor Correctional Center, where 6 GeneXpert machines were handed to us to test inmates. Subsequently, a program has been developed to screen all new admissions as well as those already in custody. What is also important with this program of testing for TB is that not only do we test the inmate, but if there are positive results, if the inmate has got TB, then the family as well is tested, so that through the inmate, a person who otherwise would not have been attended to gets to be attended. In terms of Section 12 of the Correctional Services Act, as well as the re-engineering primary health care strategy, the department is expected to provide primary health care services to inmates. This is a nurse-driven service, and referral to a medical practitioner is only required when necessary. In instances where secondary and tertiary health care interventions are needed, inmates are referred to the management areas having services of qualified medical practitioners as well as the Department of Health facilities. The reduced budget might have a negative impact on other challenges such as infrastructure, information systems, and overcrowding that impact on health care delivery and effective infection control. The following measures are being implemented. The department is currently strengthening its partnership with the Department of Health as the custodian of health care in the country at national, provincial, district, and sub-district level to improve the delivery services and programs with special focus on human immune deficiency, virus, HIV, tuberculosis, sexually transmitted infections, and mental health services. The relationship has resulted in the department benefiting from the Global Fund Against HIV, AIDS, TB, and Malaria, allocation of $53.8 million. The department is in the process of drafting a memorandum of agreement with the National Department of Health to clarify roles and responsibilities in terms of health care service delivery to inmates. The department has currently signed 2 service-level agreements with the provincial departments of health in Gauteng and Western Cape. These agreements include the provision of medical services to inmates. Due to lack of capacity in the remaining provinces, area commissioners have the delegated authority to sign contract with private medical practitioners to render seasonal medical services to inmates. The department has established partnerships with several non-governmental organizations as one of the strategies to increase capacity and expertise to provide health care to inmates. With the assistance of the Department of Health through the Global Fund, the department will also improve the health information system in order to improve on monitoring the provision of services. The department strives to ensure that vacancies for health care professionals, that is nurses, medical practitioners, and pharmacists, are filled, and the head hunting framework is in place for the recruitment of these categories of personnel as vacancies occur. In alignment with Section 12 of the Correctional Services Act, as well as the re-engineering primary health care strategy, the department will continue to provide primary health care services and refer necessary cases to the relevant medical practitioners. Thank you very much.
Any follow-up question, Honorable Mabe?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. As the Minister was responding, he spoke Afrikaans and I could not follow. I will then request that maybe he submits. He can submit the question, the answer in writing. But before I sit down, I just want to check if the program do include the 2 private prisons in Limpopo and the Free State.
Honorable Minister. Could you repeat your question, Ms. Mabe?
The Afrikaans one.
Leave the Afrikaans one, you've got the gadget.
No, I just want to check if the health programs that the Minister alluded to, if they do include the 2 private prisons in Limpopo and in the Free State.
Yeah, these are our national programs. They include all our 241 facilities, and of course, the ones that are most advanced would be the Gauteng and the Western Cape one. But it includes, it's a national program.
Any other follow-up question? Mr. Tao?
Thank you very much, Chair, and thanks, of course, to the Minister for the response. It's more of a clarity-seeking question, as in a form of a follow-up, Chair. In that, in the Minister's response, he makes mention to the fact that during the processes of administering TB, if an inmate is discovered, or it is discovered that an inmate has tested positive, then the family is also tested. Now, the immediate question that comes is, if a person is arrested, is from Mpumalanga, arrested in the Western Cape, sentenced here, serve a sentence at Paulsmoor, and is tested positive, how then is the department able to effectively link that kind of action with the family in Mpumalanga? Thanks.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much for the question. First, let me refer that part of what we're doing is also our response to the Constitutional Court judgment in the Van Vuren case, Van Wyk or Van Vuren, who argued that he contracted TB in our facilities. In the High Court, we successfully argued that he came with the TB. He didn't contract it in our facilities. But in the Constitutional Court, said that's neither here nor there. He is in the correctional centers. He has got TB, and whether he contracted it here or came with it, he has got TB. And what measures are you taking to ensure, particularly with the cases of overcrowding, and which you can't really determine? I mean, you've got a facility for 412,000. You are generally at 155,000 inmates at any one time, instead of 112,000. So you can't guarantee that the person doesn't get the TB there. Therefore, as fortunately then partnering with the Department of Health, we got this global fund that I was mentioning in 53 million US dollars, which then allows us to screen, number one, screen people as they come, screen those who are inside, and then screen those who are coming in. And if they are detected that they've got TB, those inside or those who are particularly coming in, then working with health, then the home and their immediate relatives are then visited. So that is now done jointly by us and the Department of Health to ensure that those people get treatment through detection through an inmate, and then it leads to the family. Whether it's here or not, it's one country or a national department. So whether the person was arrested here is in Paulsmoor, but where were you last before you were arrested? You were at home, and therefore we deal with the Mpumalanga Department of Health and accordingly. Thanks.
Any other follow-up question? Now we move to question 18 by Honourable Broto to the Minister of Correctional Service. Honourable Minister.
The question, the measures to respond to treat inmates who are incarcerated for crimes relating to substance abuse and improve the treatment of such inmates. As DCS, we have raised the fact that the issue of substance abuse is multidisciplinary, as the abuse of alcohol and drugs is widespread. I really want to underline this thing that the situation is actually getting out of hand. If you actually see you visit our facilities, wherever you are in Johannesburg, a correctional center at Hoshimampuru or in any center, it's just frightening to see how many youngsters are there, particularly girl children, that are already hooked on this thing of drugs. As the correctional program targeting offender behavior relating to alcohol and drug abuse are implemented with regards to substance abuse, offenders are incarcerated for the use of such substance, dealing in such substance, as well as committing crimes whilst under the influence of such substance. These offenders are regarded as a special category, as they must be weaned out of dependency. Parents must also be educated to recognize drugs as well as the telltale signs of abuse. Most of the parents are not aware of their own kids using drugs. They are not able to tell the difference. The objective of such programs are aimed at helping offenders whose offending behavior is related to the use of addictive substances to gain insight into the negative effects of such substances on their well-being, equipping offenders with information related to substance abuse and addiction cycle, assisting offenders to know the signs and symptoms of substance addiction, assisting offenders in developing coping skills, and providing information on how to restore broken relationships. The substance abuse program empowers offenders by providing them with facts and guidelines to understand the effects of drugs, as well as to enable them to manage drug-related situations. Further, offenders also deliver motivational talks at schools. We've been working with the Minister of Basic Education to take some offenders in their orange uniform to go and address schools, their peers. Here is a grade 9, grade 10 pupil who are studying in this particular school, comes back in this uniform, shackled on the feet there and handcuffed, and they will release this handcuff, he remains with shackles, and addresses the school assembly and say, I was like you, just like you. I started this way and this way and this way. And in those schools that we have visited, it has got a shock effect, because suddenly it's not something, some criminals out there. It's a person like them who was studying in this very school, who is now hooked in drugs, who is doing 15 years. Now you want to pass your matric in the next 8 months. Here is somebody who is now doing 15 years, and it does have some effect. Referral to social workers and psychologists and external service providers is carried out where there is a need to increase and improve treatment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Any follow-up question from Honorable Borota?
Thank you, Chair. Ngiyathokoza. Ngifuna ukuthokoza i-Department of Correctional Service ukukhombisa ukuthi akusi i-department yokulimaza, but it is corrective as its name stands. And nesithemba ukuthi bazochubeka bakwenza lokho ukuthi abantwana bethu abangene kwizindakamizwa bakhona ukuncedeka babe nama coping skills nababuyela ngaphandle. Siyabathokoza for ama program abawenzayo. Abantwana bethu babe ne value nababuyi. Siyathokoza.
Okay. Any follow-up question from other members? Honorable Minister, we can take the next question.
The question from Honorable Ms. Makunyane, whether the department is achieving its objective to provide humane conditions of incarceration, effective rehabilitation. Yes, the down management of overcrowding is regarded as key in creating a humane conditions and an environment conducive to rehabilitation. The collaborative implementation of a multi-pronged strategy by the Department of Correctional Services and its partners within the criminal justice system and in society contribute towards the fact that correctional service is steadily but surely winning the war against overcrowding and high incarceration rates in South Africa. This strategy enabled DCS to significantly decrease the inmate population level from 162% during 2004 to 129%, still overcrowded, during 2013. It has also contributed towards the reduced per capita incarceration rate in South Africa from 403 to 290 inmates per 100,000 population within the aforementioned period. We continue to engage with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development on the matter of alternative to incarceration, as well as electronic monitoring. The progressive parole system in South Africa has also contributed to an environment conducive to rehabilitation. This alternative to incarceration is when a person is found guilty and is sentenced, but not to jail, but to do community service, to do that and so forth, which quite an. We were happy that the judiciary general and the magistracy are employing that quite often now. There are 11 correctional programs presented by correctional intervention officials nationally in line with the stipulation in the relevant correctional sentence plans of sentence offenders, namely anger management, anger in, anger out. Crossroads, that's sourced. Restorative justice orientation, new beginnings, sexual offenses, pre-release, substance abuse, stop to start, behavior modification programs on gangsterism, economic crime programs, which are mostly fraud-related, economic crime programs that are theft-related, program on murder-related offenses. Of these 11, the most difficult of them all is, of course, sexual offenses, because there isn't a way in which you can see someone who did this one is about to rape now. It's a very, very difficult thing. And when they've been with us, they've been sentenced to 10 years or 5 years or whatever number of years, you really don't know from the first day to the last day whether the person will not do this thing again. It's a difficult crime. Programs are needs-based and informed by individual assessment of the offender. Their primary purpose is to impact on the offending behavior. With regard to care, the department is achieving most of the care objectives in the light of the fact that inmates are provided with appropriate nutritional services. The department has focused this year on ensuring food service units are provided with the required resources. To date, 70% of all facilities are equipped to provide nutritional services. In this regard, of course, we own, as the Department of Correctional Services, some 40,000 hectares of land. We have embarked on a program. We have assessed that proper usage of 5,000 hectares of that will make us self-sufficient to provide all the food that we require for the 155,000 that are there, and we should be able to do that because it provides training, it is cost-effective, it's cheaper, and so forth. The department has successfully scaled up HIV counseling and testing services, as well as access to antiretroviral therapy services. For this financial year to date, 26,090 inmates have been tested for HIV, and 15,223 are receiving under retroviral treatment. In terms of the management of TB, the department has sourced the support of the Department of Health as experts to strengthen the TB, HIV, and STI programs to inmates. The implementation of the national guidelines of the management of TB, HIV, and STI in correctional services will ensure that the objective for health care in terms of these categories of disease is met. With regard to the development, the department has approximately 16,706 sentence offenders participating in education programs ranging from literacy, adult education and training, further education and training, higher education and training, as well as computer-based training. This is being achieved despite challenges as we are experiencing as a department with regards to human resource and infrastructure to accommodate the educational needs of all our offenders. For remand detainees, we offer administrative assistance as they are by nature a population that is not stable because of their duration of stay is never known beforehand. 2012-2013 financial year, 3,010 offenders were involved in agricultural activities each day. Offenders acquired work skills, experience in various agricultural projects such as vegetable production, broiler, egg, dairy, piggery, small stock, and beef and agronomy farming. During 2012-2013, 1,500 sentenced offenders per day were involved in DSS production workshop. Qualified artisans transferred skills to offenders in 10 wood, steel, and workshops and textile workshops, shoe factory, 6 bakeries, 3 sanitary towel manufacturing and workshops. The FET College Program, National Certificate, Engineering Studies, and Business Studies, a total of 3,525 offenders were trained. Skills training program include vocational and basic occupational skills. A total of 9,403 offenders were trained in these electrical, plumbing, and building, carpentry, and painting, and tiling, and chef assistance skills. Sports, recreation, and arts, culture, and library programs are offered to sentenced offenders through training and development to encourage self-sustainability in offenders in their successful reintegration to society. Informal programs are offered to remand detainees like drawing, poetry, and traditional dance. In this regard, not less than 4 books have been published by offenders on poetry, short stories, and so forth, and those basic skills. Thank you very much.
Is there any further question? Honorable Makwanyane has left the chamber. Honorable Worth.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Through you to the Minister of Correctional Services, how many detainees or offenders have been released on parole with regard to rehabilitation or reintegration with the so-called bangles or bracelets that are sending out a signal so you can monitor where the person is on parole, or is that still in the experimental stage? Thank you.
The reduction of overcrowding is the introduction of this electronic monitoring, which is being rolled out as we speak. We just have got under 200 now, and in the next 2-3 months we will have a further 500 on this electronic monitoring. The electronic monitoring is an effective tool in that it is with you all the time. It says that you are now at home, you are in the kitchen at home, you are in the bedroom at home. it records everything in the control room there in Pretoria. You are able also, and you carry the phone with you that we can speak to you all the time. And when you are supposed to be in a particular area only, you are supposed to be in Mamelodi, and now we are veering off going to Soweto. We then say, look, you are now overstepped. Where are you going now? And you have not asked for permission. So in short, we are rolling out the electronic monitoring, and we believe it's going to be a very useful tool for all of us in this cluster, because it monitors every inch of the way wherever you are. It sleeps with you, it goes to the bath with you, it goes everywhere with you, so that it just tells you to behave properly, because you are being monitored 24/7 in a literal sense. And we believe that it's helping us a great deal to drastically reduce the overcrowding while making sure that the community is safe, because we know where this person is. It also helps the offender themselves, because if there is any crime in any community, the first suspects, I'm sure my colleagues in the police will know that the first suspect will be what criminals are around here, and where were you when this happened. It helps the offender themselves to say, I was right in the middle of a church in a service, and you've got proof of that. And that proof is irrefutable that you were there, because you can't remove this thing. So it helps all people around, but basically it keeps our community safe for a safer South Africa.
Thank you, Minister. Can you give a response to the question by Honorable Nessie? Oh. Honorable Dow.
No, thank you very much, Deputy Chair, and of course appreciate the response by the Minister, and particularly with the emphasis on this progressive parole system, which is quite something that we need to applaud. The question then, follow-up question then, Deputy Chair, to the Minister would be, whilst all these progressive systems are being put in place, particularly with regard to your parole and your parolees and so forth, how then does the department ensure that it strengthens even the inner capacity or the capacity of the parole boards to ensure that it does not even recommend for the release or early release of wrong people who are not supposed to be released? Because that is a problem that we sometimes encounter within our communities, where you find that the wrong people have been released and the ones that have been effectively rehabilitated are still within the centers, which could have released the center of the burden of overcrowding and so forth. Thanks, John.
Minister.
Thank you very much for that question. I think this underlines that we should always strive not only to be a democratically elected government, but to be a democratic society, where society participates on an ongoing way. Parole board is one of the issues. For instance, we had to dissolve the Pretoria parole board that released these chaps because it was just wrong. It was irregular, and therefore the whole parole board had to be dismissed, had to be dissolved, and you start again. When you start again, you ask for nomination from the community. It's solid members of the community that chairs and participate in those boards, together with ourselves, together with the police, so that, but it's community dominated. And it's going to be quite important that we have got all our communities. I don't think we ourselves have done enough to publicize the importance, because these are the people who then decide that this person is ready to be released and this one must stay inside. And once they are released, they are able to monitor the behavior of that person, because at the end of the day, crime is about the people that we live with. It's not people who come outside. It's people we live with, and sometimes we then say, where were the police? The police can't be next door to you, can't be in your community. It's a community itself being able to ensure that this behavior is not acceptable. You can do this thing somewhere else, but not in the street, not in this section. And the community must be empowered to do that. And I think parole board is one of those ways in which the community must be empowered through. And I think we should do much more to publicize the role of parole boards. Thanks.
Is there a further question? Okay, can we proceed to question 27 by Honorable Nessie? Minister.
Thank you very much. The question of financial management, the department has over the years and continues to implement measures to improve its financial management. The following progress has been made since the beginning of 2013-2014 financial year to end February 2014. The department has been able to close monthly on bus on its own since 2011-12. The department has been able to clear suspense accounts which must be zero at month end, and as a result was able to close its own as from the month of April 2013 to February 2014. The department started to prepare monthly financial statements in June 2010, and monthly financial statements have been prepared from April 2013 to January 2014. The quarterly financial statements till end of December 2013 have been submitted to National Treasury. Since 2006, the status of payments made after 30 days has been monitored on a monthly basis and the root cause addressed. No payment is processed before the invoice is signed off by the end users, confirming that the receipt of goods or services have been rendered accordingly. All invoices received are stamped with the date of receipt in order to monitor that payments are processed within 30 days after the receipt of the invoice. The percentage payments made after 30 days versus total payments made per month has improved from 10.8% in April 2013 to 0.83 in February 2014. Debt management. The recovery from debtors has been improved by reviewing and increasing monthly installments, including recovery from bonuses. Debtors who have left the department are traced via their different personal bureaus to check if they are not in the employ of government. Once traced, the said debts are submitted to the relevant department for recovery. Credit web system is also used to trace ex-employees who are not in the employment of government. Expenditure against budget is monitored on a monthly basis. In-year monitoring reports compiled and submitted to both Executive Authority and National Treasury in line with PFMA. Monthly appropriation statements are presented as part of the monthly financial statements. Monthly in-year monitoring and appropriation statements have been prepared from April 2013 to January 2014. For every bid, a bid specification and a bid evaluation committee is appointed in writing to ensure value for money during procurement. The 2013-14 financial year annual procurement plan is approved and submitted to National Treasury. No bids are invited without proof of availability of funds. The following In asset management, the following progress has been made to address deficiencies. Monthly reconciliation between logis and BAS. Monthly asset reconciliation have been done from April 2013 to January 2014. The monthly inter-store transfer reconciliation have been done on a monthly basis from April to January 2014. The annual asset verification, over and above the annual asset verification process done by various management areas, the department deployed all senior managers to the various management areas to do asset verification during December 2013-2014. All asset controllers verify monthly on the existence and completeness of their respective assets. With effect from April 2014, all officials will have a key result area on asset management, so to improve ownership and accountability on asset management. The safe and secure correctional environment. The department has a range of security measures and procedures in place aimed at ensuring a safe and secure correctional environment for all inmates, inclusive of sentenced offenders. I'm sure I can submit the rest in writing. But the question is so answered. Thanks.
Honorable Nessie, you've just come in and we had already asked Honorable Faku to take over. Is there a further question? Honorable Kamede.
Chairperson, Honorable Nessie has empowered me that on his behalf, I must ask if the Honorable Minister can extend his kindness by supplying those answers and responses, especially to the opposition, so that they can see what the department is doing.
Yeah, it will be so supplied to the House. So.
To the House. Thank you. Please tell you. Any further question? Honorable Veteran.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Veteran Deputy Chair. I was in Leeuwkop prison this weekend. I just want to confirm what the minister has said now. I saw it with my own two eyes. We were in prison, Leeuwkop, the most maximum security. But what I've seen, you could not believe that these were prisoners. We were taken even into a special hall where we were entertained in a music, a choir from the prison. And I actually personally spoke to those prisoners and begged them that they can see what is happening. They can now start to reform that when they go out, they fit within society, and they assured me that they are going to do that. Thank you, Chair.
It's the ANC government.
Yeah. Where's the question?
No, it's comments.
Honorable de Villiers. Honorable de Villiers, you came into the chamber late. The process was on. And right now, if you were listening properly, you would have understood what the honorable member was saying. It's fine. It's a statement which actually has a bearing on what the minister had already tabled in the presence of those people. Thank you very much.
Address you on the late situation. I wasn't late, Chairperson. I was here. I was here and I left the chamber to do something else and came back. I wasn't late for this sitting.
It's just unfortunate because at times you people have to actually try and play games with your phones when we are supposed to be doing work in the chamber. Thank you very much. I'm not going to entertain you any further. Honorable Minister, can you answer the next
Honorable
question?
Deputy Chair.
Honorable Sinclair, what do you want?
Yeah, Chairperson, I just want to report, I saw the Honorable Member De Villiers crying outside. I don't know.
That's fine. Honorable Sinclair, you can even take him out and wipe the tears off his face.
That was the last question, yes.
No, for Gang 31. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. Order, honorable members. The next Deputy Minister will answer on the defense and military veterans. Your first question is number 12 by Honorable Zimande. I said so, and then these people came in. That's what happens. I don't already said it.
Thank you, Deputy Chair of the House. The answer to the question by Honorable Nzimande is as follows. A short-term loss of capability and capacity is inherent to the intentional gradual retention of, rather reduction of dependency on outsourced manpower within the South African Air Force. Several measures have, however, been instituted to mitigate the impact of this intervention. B, renewed focus on developing own technical capability is having a positive impact. C, the effective and enforceable transfer of essential scarce skills is ensured before key resources are released by the department. In addition, a short-term incapability corrective action plan is being developed. And lastly, despite the short-term pain, a healthier South African Air Force technical capability will result from this intervention. Honorable Deputy Chair, thank you.
Any further question? Any further questions? Honorable Deputy Minister, can we proceed to number 13 by Honorable
The answer to question 13, Deputy Chair of the House, is as follows. Obsolete, redundant, surplus, and beyond economical repair vehicles and equipment are identified by units within the SANDF, meaning level 4 of the organization. Disposal requests are submitted to formations, which is level 3 within our organization, and services and divisions, which is level 2 of the organization, then follows. It is approved It is approved by service and division chiefs, and lists are submitted to Logistics Support Formation, who conducts investigations and make recommendations with respect to disposal and alienation methods to be used. It is then submitted for disposal approval to Chief Logistics. The alienation process will then commence after approval of the alienation method by the Asset Alienation Approval Committee. Defense material category 1 is issued to Armscor for marketing, sale, and/or destruction. Commercial vehicles and equipment category 2 is sold by means of auctions, tenders, or in some cases, it is destroyed. The answer to 1B1, with respect to proceeds for disposal in the 2012-2013 financial year, with respect to category 1 and 2 equipment, the value was 19,907,000 rands. Proceeds from disposals in the year 2013-2014, category 1 and 2 equipment was of the value of in the region of 15 million rands. With respect to proceeds, category 1 equipment, Armscor receives money from category 1 sales and pays it into the General Defense account, that's the Departmental Revenue Fund. At the end of each financial year, this revenue is audited. In the following financial year, it is paid over from the Departmental Revenue Fund into the National Revenue Fund, that is the Reserve Bank. At the beginning of the new financial year, the DOD submits an adjustment budget where all revenue generated from disposal sales, that is from the General Defense account and the Special Defense account, are transferred back into the DOD budget. This is the process as stipulated in the PFMA. With respect to proceeds of category 2 equipment, the revenue from disposal of category 2 equipment is paid into the State Revenue Fund. The answer to question 2A, subsidiary question 2A pertaining losses and thefts is as follows. There is no clear distinction made in the reporting process to differentiate between losses or disposal equipment or other equipment. However, losses and damages to equipment is reported from unit level through the command channels to a central database that is managed and administered by the Financial Management Division. The answer to 2B, with respect to delays and backlogs, a delay with respect to disposal is experienced due to the following reasons. Firstly, a decision was made in 2012 by the Military Command Council that approval must be obtained from the Council before any vehicles may be alienated. In August 2012, the MCC placed a moratorium on the sale of vehicles and equipment and requested a review of the control measures within the disposal process. The measures were approved in November 2012 and included the establishment of an independent oversight in the form of an Asset Alienation Approval Committee. The committee was established and started functioning in August 2013. Secondly, an auctioneering contract was introduced. The DOD auctioneering contract expired on the 30th of November 2012. The process for a new contract was started but placed on hold to investigate the possibility that the Department of Military Veterans could play a role in the alienation of Category 2, that is commercial equipment. It was decided that the contracting process must proceed and the tender was advertised in October 2012. The Departmental Commercial Procurement Board did not approve the allocation of the tender and requested that the tender process be investigated. A board of inquiry was done, and in December 2012, the contracting process was restarted. And the last factor affecting the speed at which this material is disposed is that all DOD vehicles must be registered on the e-notice system before sale. In 2012, the National Department of Transport promulgated legislation that required the application of microdots to all vehicles before first registration on e-notice. A tender was issued and allocated, and microdotting will commence in March this year, this very month that we are in. The answer to 2.1a is that all losses are reported by units through their higher headquarters to the Financial Management Division. All losses are investigated at unit and higher levels according to the department's policy. The answer to 2.1b, measures to resolve delays and backlogs are the following. 1, Asset Alienation Approval Committee is functioning and started with the approval of alienation methods of disposal equipment. 2, the tender with respect to auctioneering will be advertised in March 2014 this month, and auctions for Category 2 equipment will commence in May this year. Microdotting of vehicles, the tender for the microdotting of vehicles has been allocated, and the appreciation of microdots has commenced. With respect to question 2, Roman figure 2, the losses that occurred, the answer is the following. No clear distinction is made in the reporting process to differentiate between losses of disposal equipment or other equipment, as I've already stated. A specific investigation to determine losses of equipment identified for disposal will have to be undertaken. With respect to the causes for losses, long-term process that is followed in disposing of these equipment and assets is responsible for the high level of thefts. The answer to subsidiary question 2, Roman figure 4, is that the DOD plans for losses in the following way, to deal with losses in the following way. First, effective access control, installation of CCTV cameras, and use of roaming guards. It's one measure. Secondly, the DOD also plans to make means available and manpower available and to coordinate in an effective way the safeguarding of these assets. Thank you.
Honorable Mashila, is there a follow-up question?
Thanks, Chairperson. I just wanted to know, as our government is the one that fights corruption left and right, and is promising to do so continuously, if during the auctions or the disposal of this equipment, the department find that there has been an underhand by staff, either making certain equipment to disappear before the auctions or colluding with the auctioners, what can we expect from the department? Thank you very much.
Honorable Deputy.
Well, Deputy Chair of the House, as I've indicated, there is policy in the department governing the manner in which accounting for assets that are to be disposed is done. Where there are losses, there is reporting that then happens to the higher level. There's been, in the recent period, as the honorable member will have noted, an escalation of this problem because of decisions that have interfered with the speed with which this material was being disposed. The first is, as we have indicated, that there was a decision that this material should be handed over for disposal by the Department of Military Veterans in order to accord military veterans the opportunities for business in to offer military veterans opportunities for business so that they can earn incomes. That process has taken longer than it was initially, planned. So it has, in a way, aggravated the problem of stocks of equipment that lie within the hands of the departments for prolonged periods before they are disposed of. What I can say here is that the honorable member can be assured that in the event where this equipment, this material disappears, as I've pointed out, like with all other material of the Defense Force, not only the one that is destined for disposal, all of the materials that disappears within any one of our units, it is reported to the service, and the service must report that to the chief logistics. The systems are in place. The honorable member can be assured that there will not arise a situation where such material disappears and there is no record and an account given of what happened with respect to that disappearance of the materials in question.
Any further question? Honorable Worth?
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I'd like to ask the Deputy Minister of Defence, I'm not on that portfolio, but it's been reported extensively in all the newspapers recently in obsolete helicopters that are being sold to Namibia with parts, probably Alouette helicopters, obsolete. That money, was that paid into the 2013-2014 account, or does that go straight to Treasury? I don't know if it's category 1 or 2. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy Chair, the question that and the information the honorable member is soliciting here can be provided, but I can request the House to allow the department to bring that information with respect to this particular transaction. However, it should not be confused with what we are dealing with here. We are dealing with material that is destined for disposal that ends up being lost by the department. This material, what is referring to was not a loss. It's not a loss, but we can provide information about how much accrued from that transaction and in which account was the money deposited. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any further questions? Honorable van Lingen.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. I'm not sure from the Minister's statement whether he said that equipment is given to the military veterans or that the equipment is lost, because given the state of repair of this data, of this base, the Portfolio Committee Oversight visit recently found that many obsolete vehicles and equipment were not kept in a safe place of storage. Now, the Minister has told us that they are installing cameras and all sorts of things like that. So the inference is there that there's not proper records of where the stuff is going. So my question is, have criminal cases been opened for investigation, and are there any staff on disciplinary hearings for this?
Deputy Minister.
Well, Honorable Deputy Chair, the Honorable Member has made comments that do not necessarily relate to the question she is posing. But as statements, I think they need to be corrected. Firstly, we didn't say that this material that we are disposing of has disappeared because it has been given to the Department of Military Veterans. No, we have said that at the managerial level, the Military Command Council has considered a request by the Department of Military Veterans to be given this material to dispose it, to sell it in order to give them opportunities for income. And that is a decision which will be finalized. That's one matter. What the honorable member is raising about whether there are records and there are cases opened where this material gets stolen, the answer is yes. As I said earlier on, every unit in the South African National Defence Force that loses material in its possession, it can be a unit not even at base, out in operation. It must always account for the assets that it has in its possession. And there are reports where there are losses and there are disciplinary actions taken where such action is required. I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Deputy Minister, can we proceed with the next question?
Honorable Deputy Chair, the next question is the question by Honorable Muntsisi. The answer to that question is yes. To this end, a directorate to specifically drive transformation management has been established within the South African Air Force. This directorate will ensure the implementation of the South African Air Force Transformation Action Plan that focuses on, among other things, the accumulating flying hours for black and female junior pilots, gender mainstreaming, eradicating sexual misconduct within our ranks, mentoring and coaching, reasonable access for people with disabilities, and youth development, fast-tracking, and alternate exit mechanisms. The Directorate Transformation Management has started a consultation program with the South African Air Force Base Command Councils to ensure proper mechanisms, processes, procedures, and reporting of transformation management issues within the aim of institutionalizing transformation in the South African Air Force and ensuring base command councils do take ownership of transformation matters at their level. I thank you.
Honorable Mosese, any further question?
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Now, Deputy Chair, just for the Minister to note that, thank you. Now, just for the Deputy Minister to note that at Langeban Air Force School, there are Africans, colored and Asian pilot students who are actually being put aside, and as a result, they are not able to accumulate the necessary flying hours for them to be accredited as fighter pilots. Now, this has taken place for quite some time. So this is just for the Minister to note. Thank you.
Deputy Minister, that was information.
Chairperson, the observation is noted. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions from other members? Okay. Deputy Minister, can we proceed to the question by Honorable Nessie? It's question 26.
The answer to question 20.
Thank you for your generosity.
The answer to question 26 by Honorable Member Nessie, Deputy Chairperson, is as follows. The South African National Defence Force is continuously challenged by the unavailability of sufficient members with scarce skills. There is a constant and ongoing effort to retain such members. In terms of sufficiency, the South African National Defence Force does not have enough members within the technical maintenance family to repair and maintain equipment. This is in the excess of 5,000 members involved in maintenance and repair of the South African National Defence Force fleet of vehicles and equipment. Compared to other military establishments globally, 10% is the norm in determining the size of their technical components. The South African National Defence Force needs about 7,000 technical support members to be in line with this approach. This is a shortage of in-house technical and specialist skills within the workforce to maintain some of our equipment, as the Honourable Member has noted. Strategies and plans to address and to resolve these matters include the following. Technical allowances have been introduced. Technical allowances are intended to attract and retain personnel with high levels of unique technical or engineering-related competencies. It has succeeded to an extent, however. The salaries on offer outside our environment are still considerably high than what we are offering. The other intervention is the military-specific dispensation. A military-specific dispensation, similar to the occupational specific dispensation developed by the Department of Public Service and Administration, has been developed to enhance the objectives of the technical allowance that I'm referring to. The intention is to create career remuneration and promotion opportunities with a greater emphasis on skills levels. This is awaiting approval by the MCC. I thank you, Deputy Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Can we proceed to the next one? Are there any questions? Okay, thanks. Can we then proceed with the next question?
Thank you, Deputy Chair. The answer to question 30 by Honourable Member Mofokeng is as follows. The reduction of flying hours does have a knock-on effect on several operational areas of the service, but the initial phase for learner pilots does not include any flying activities or the allocation of flying hours. Any reduction in flying hours does have the potential to adversely impact on the maintenance of skills, ability, and morale of the pilots and flight engineers. Going forward, members are sent for other relevant developmental courses and other skills training that require less money for us to spend. Answer to question C is yes. It is probable that the ability to enhance the experience of recently qualified pilots and flight engineers will be negatively impacted upon by the low reduction of flying hours. Answer to question D, flying hours are not the main determining factor with regards to the retention of these members, but rather the economic factors, especially the state of the non-military aviation industry recruitment drives. Answer to question C, no South African Air Force has, in spite of its resource limitation, The South African Air Force has, in spite of its resource limitations, continued to fulfill its constitutional mandate. The continuous cooperation between SADC member states' safety and security architecture continues to be the main intervention to deal with issues of common security threats like air border security, while constant threat analysis is conducted within our borders to attend to specific airspace security risks. Answer to question E, Roman figure 2. In the financial year 2012-13, 28 pilots and 3 flight engineers resigned. From the 1st of April 2013 up to the 28th of February 2014, 18 pilots and no flight engineers resigned. The answer to question E, Roman figure 3, as a strategic initiative, the Department of Defense is actively involved with common military exercises with SADC members. This is done to ensure credible early warning and to enhance confidence building amongst the member states. Further, through the Strategic Capital Acquisition Master Plan SCAMP, the department is envisaging a complete overhaul of its airspace monitoring radar systems over the next 5 years in order to assist with early warning early warning capacity, a matter which will be returned to when the department tables the report on the defense review. I thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mofokeng, any further questions? Members, is there any further question? Honorable Webb.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. To the Deputy Minister, with regard to the training, South African Air Force pilots, etc., under the arms deal, we bought many of these sophisticated Gripen aircraft. It is reputed or reported that only 6 have been assembled. The rest are still in the boxes as they were bought. This is due to the lack of skilled pilots, skilled training, and also due to the substantial fuel costs involved. Could we have your comments on that? Thanks.
Well, Deputy Chair of the House, Gripens can only be sophisticated machines. There are no Gripens that are not sophisticated. But the point that I want to make is that the information the member is sharing with the House may not be quite accurate. If the member seeks to get a good picture of what is happening with our fighter squadron, he can put the question to the department, and the department will bring, sufficient information about what is happening to the Gripen. It is I'm sorry, beer hall gossip that there are only 6 Gripens that are in operation. We have a good number of the Gripen squadron that is mothballed, but it is assembled but mothballed, meaning that it is preserved, not to be utilized, but it is assembled. But it is not true that we only have 6 in operation.
Thank you, Minister. Can we go to question 36? By Honorable Sibande.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair of the House. The answer to the question by Honorable Member Sibande is as follows. The facilities at Central Flying School have been upgraded and repaired since the oversight visit of the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans in May 2013. Furthermore, students have been instructed to look after their facilities in order to engender an environment conducive to proper preparation of trainees, while regular inspections have been instituted to monitor the situation. However, it should be mentioned, Honorable Deputy Chair, that intractable challenges of underfunding and the need to negotiate a workable and appropriate dispensation with the Department of Public Works has increased the maintenance backlog at all South African Air Force bases. The answer to question B, Roman figure 1, in spite of these challenges, Air Force Base Langebaan has been able to maintain higher levels of morale and discipline among its trainees. Roman figure 2, answer to Roman figure 2 is impact on the effectiveness and state of readiness of the Air Force Base is not evident. The men and women at the base and the South African Air Force in general are in a position to deliver on their mandate. Answer to CA, capital projects have been registered with the Department's Works Formation Unit and the Department of Public Works, as well as planned maintenance work to be conducted at Air Force Base Langebaan. Answer to CB, the shortages of appropriate vehicles in particular duty buses is being addressed. Let me add, Deputy Chair of the House, that the report that the Portfolio Committee called for after the tabling of their report indeed has not been tabled with the Portfolio Committee, and we undertake to rectify that omission on the part of the department. I thank you.
Any further question? Honorable Ranto, you're standing in for Sibande. Yes. Is there any further question? No. Any further questions, members? Thank you very much, Deputy Minister, for your answers. We'll now proceed. Minister of State Security will be giving us the answers. And the first one will be the question from Honorable de Villiers.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. The answer to the first part of Honorable de Villiers' question number 7 is as follows. The department, through its mission in Malabo, has been rendering consular assistance to Mr. Janse van Rensburg since his incarceration. The family in South Africa has been updated of the developments of his case as and when they were available. The mission in Malabo has been active in making sure that Mr. van Rensburg's health is taken care of by requesting authorities to provide him with medication as and when it was required. The good story, Deputy Chairperson, is that following the intervention of the mission, Mr. van Rensburg has been released from prison on the 21st of February 2014, but is not allowed to leave Equatorial Guinea until the mediation process between him and his business partner have been completed. The answer to the second part of Honorable Member is that since Mr. Janse van Rensburg has been released, no high-level representation are currently planned. The department, through the mission in Malabo, will monitor developments and the negotiations that are still underway between Mr. van Rensburg and his business partner. I thank you.
Any further question?
Thank you very much for the answers, Chairperson.
Okay. Honorable Minister, can we proceed to question 15 by Honorable Ranto?
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. The answer to the first part of Honorable Ranto's question number 15 is as follows. In relation to structured bilateral mechanism, yes, South Africa enjoys warm and cordial relations with all regions and countries of the world. And this is evident in the 83 established structured bilateral mechanism and numerous high-level engagements which DECO utilizes to promote and advance South Africa's national interests. 2, significant progress has been made in our bilateral relations with countries since the advent of South Africa's democracy. So South Africa is far better than it was prior to 1994. This is reflective in the manner of a number of agreements signed and implemented thereof, which govern the composition of the structured bilateral mechanism. Many of South Africa's relations are performed through well-structured bilateral mechanism, which seeks to augment cooperation between South Africa and specific countries. DECO's engagement through these bilateral mechanisms has resulted in cooperation in the fields of Africa agenda, economic diplomacy, exchange of technology, capacity building, and infrastructure programs, as well as cooperation in multilateral field. 2, structured bilateral mechanisms reflect various regularized and formalized meetings that South Africa has with other countries. These meetings usually under various designations such as binational commission, joint commissions, partnership forums, policy dialogue forums, and policy forums are co-shared from president downwards to the level of senior officials. These bilateral mechanisms usually comprise of subcommittees or technical committees and are co-chaired by ministers or senior officials of the department concerned. These meetings usually alternate between the countries concerned and can take place every 6 months, annually, and in certain cases, every 2 years, depending on the importance of the issues on the agenda, which varies from matters regarding global governance, Africa strengthening trade and investment, tourism promotion, and science and technology cooperation. High-level engagement is designated at the level of a minister and above with purpose of deepening political, trade, social, financial, economic, and security relations and interaction between South Africa and other states. The second part of the question is as follows, and it's part of the good story to tell. It is important to note that beyond the structured bilateral mechanism, South Africa has embassies in 126 countries and bilateral relations in more than 180 countries. So, of course, South Africa is much better than it was prior to 1994. I thank you.
Okay. Honorable Ranto, any further questions? Honorable Liz. Chief Whip.
So, Mr. Liz must sit down.
Can you take a seat, Mr. Liz?
Honorable Minister Kwele is not the Minister of International Relations. He is standing in, and I thought members understand that.
It's offered to answer questions. Honorable Chief Whip.
The convention, Chair, is that the minister responding for another minister may not take up follow-up questions.
Okay. You're protected.
Madam Chair, I accept the ruling. I just wanted to say hello to the minister in his role here this afternoon.
Honorable Liz, I'll give you recess to play outside. Honorable Minister, can we proceed with question 20?
Thank you, Deputy Chair. The answer to Honorable Adams on the first part on question 20 is as follows.
It's not even here.
Yes, the department has made progress towards the compliance with the Minimum Information Security Standard, MIS. The Department of International Relations and Cooperation, DICO, through its Directorate Security, has implemented various measures to comply with Minimum Information Security Standard. These include access control. All DICO officials identification access card, use authentication access cards to gain access into DICO premises, and visitors are issued with visitors access card after capturing their particulars are recorded to the computer system. The second one, security searches. DICO security officers conduct searches at the entrances using X-ray machine and metal detectors to detect prohibited items, and security awareness programs to sensitize DICO officials about the importance of complying with the security measures on a regular basis. And lastly, it is important to note that DICO has also got vetting field units, and they conduct regular vetting to all our officials, including our ambassadors. Thank you.
Honorable Adams, has he nominated someone to? No, so we'll proceed. Chief Whip, do you have something to say?
That's also not true, Chair. I thought Honorable Broto would take care of those questions.
Can you do so, Honorable Broto?
So, Chair, and my apologies. No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, can we proceed with question 29 from Honorable Jacobs?
The answer to the first part of question number 9 is as follows. The Department of International Relations and Cooperation has rendered consular assistance to the affected person by visiting them in prison on a regular basis and providing feedback to their families. The department has also sent an official from consular services to visit the persons in prison, as well as to interact with their legal representative to get more insight into the case and offer assistance as may be required. The department has also provided the attorneys statements of the complaint by the South African national who alleged that they have also been defrauded by the same gentleman. The answer to the detention is in UAE, Honorable President of these South Africans. The answer to the second part of the question is that, as stated above, the department is aware of other South Africans who claim to have been defrauded by the very same gentleman. The department has not referred the matter to Interpol, but has encouraged one of the complainants to report the matter to the local police station in Dubai. The department is, however, aware that 2 of the affected people have reported the matter to the SAPS. The department has been in contact with a representative from Interpol on the case and has offered to share the information. Answer to the third part, the department has not given legal assistance to the said persons because it is not departmental policy to offer such assistance. As answer to the 4th section of the question, the department has not conducted any awareness campaign on the specific topic because we have not experienced other similar cases in the past. I thank you.
Honorable Jacobs, any follow-up question?
No, Chair, I don't have any follow-up question.
Honorable members, is there any further question? No. Okay. Minister, can we proceed to the next one? By Honorable Mncube.
The answer to question number 34 by Honorable Mncube is as follows. Yes, the quest for a better life in South Africa is intertwined with our pursuit for a better Africa in a better world. Africa is at the center of South Africa's foreign policy, and South Africa will continue to support regional and continental processes to respond to and resolve crises, strengthen regional integration, significantly increase intra-Africa trade, and champion sustainable development and opportunities in Africa. South Africa will continue to play a leading role in conflict prevention, peacekeeping, peace building, and post-conflict reconstruction. DECO utilizes both its bilateral and multilateral branches to engage through structured mechanisms and intergovernmental fora. The strengthening of the African Union, AU, and its structures is a strategic priority in deepening the continental integration process. In addition, the role of regional economic communities, RECs, as building blocks of the integration process should continue to be strengthened. South Africa continues its effort to revitalize the new Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, as a strategy for economic development on the African continent, together with the African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM, which is important to assist the continent in consolidating democracy and meeting universally accepted standards of participatory democracy. The answer to the second part of the question is yes. South Africa will continue with its priorities of contributing to the socio-economic development of the African continent. One of the key vehicles for the disbursement of the Development Fund is the African Renaissance Fund, ARF. DECO is in the process of establishing a dedicated development agency to replace ARF, which will inform and direct South Africa's development assistance framework. The conceptual framework for the establishment of South African Development Partnership Agency, SADPA, has been finalized, and work is underway to develop an operating framework thereof. I thank you, Deputy Chair.
Honorable Mncube, is there a follow-up question?
No, thanks, Honorable Deputy Chair. I don't have a question.
Thanks. Honorable Minister, can we take question 38 by Honorable Mabija?
Thank you, Chair. The reply is as follows. On the skilling of the department is as follows. DECO has skilled, qualified, and experienced officials. The department ensures that people with the required skills and experience and qualifications are appointed. These appointments are made in line with the requirements of the post as per job descriptions. The department furthermore ensures the enhancement of employees' skills and competencies through the following training program. First one is diplomatic training, which include diplomatic and cadet training, head of missions orientation, economic diplomacy, mission preparation for counselors, partner departments, and spouses of officials, bursary and postgraduate studies, and short course in relation to field of diplomacy. Second part is mission administration, which include mission administration courses for corporate service managers, foreign affairs attaché courses, third secretary administration, computer application training, secretarial courses, refresher courses for corporate and service manager, etc., etc. The other one is generic skills development in terms of relation to leadership and management programs, executive development program, advanced management development program, emergency management development program, etc., etc. The short courses such as speech writing, reporting writing, labor relations, supply chain management, communication skills, emotional intelligence, and in-house secretariat. The next sphere of training is foreign language training. The foreign language training in all working official languages of countries of accreditation for all South African diplomats. English for diplomat and for employees of the department. In conclusion, with regard to specialized skills, the department is providing and will continue to improve and provide additional knowledge and specialized skills around areas such as preparation of multilateral statements, political report, UN resolution, cybersecurity and e-diplomat and e-learning, environmental and multilateral diplomacy, understanding of trade negotiations, energy, water and security, etc., economic intelligence and economic diplomacy, strategic options and future analysis, advanced foreign and complex language skills, mediation toolkit, regional integration and global government, BRICS, post-conflict reconciliation and development, terrorism and counterterrorism causes, etc., etc. Thank you, Your Excellency. We can table the rest of the question, of the answer.
Honorable Borota.
Thank you. No questions.
Okay. Any member wants to make a follow-up question? Thank you very much. Honorable Minister. Police. Can we then ask the Minister of Police to answer question 2 by Honorable Makubele?
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Chair. And the answer to Honorable Makubele. First, thanks for the question. The South African Police Service does have social workers. However, not enough to deal with all matters affecting staff members. It ought to be noted that in addition to social workers, SAPS has chaplains, psychologists that work in an integrated manner with social workers to deal with mentioned challenges. Over and above that, as part of the public-private partnerships, the Employment, Health and Wellness has established a formal partnership with PolMed, who in turn established a network of professionals, psychologists and social workers as part of their psychosocial benefits. The second one, 1B, no. However, in the division visible policy, there is a victim empowerment capacity that assists members of the public affected by police affected by extreme cases of aggravated crimes and other extenuating circumstances of rape and murder. SAPS has forensic social workers under detective services dealing with cases of rape and murder affecting victims and members of the public. During 2012, the Division VISPOL issued a National Instruction 2 of 2012 for victim empowerment to all provincial commissioners in order to ensure that victim empowerment actions by the police are effectively implemented and managed nationally. The SAPS has the following specific responsibilities in respect to victim empowerment program. 1, training of SAPS members in order to provide a victim-friendly service and deal with specific statutory responsibilities for victims of domestic violence, sexual offenses, and child victims. Ensuring that police stations are friendly to victims, which includes the provision of dedicated victim support rooms at police stations and other police services. This will notice with all the police stations which are established and open currently. Participating in interdepartmental initiatives to establish multidisciplinary service centers for victims of crime, in particular, victims of gender-based violence. Published a booklet on victim empowerment in the SAPS and distributed to all SAPS employees through the salary advice. Message to victim empowerment services in SAPS distributed to all employees on the envelope of this salary advice of victims' rights and services provided to victims. 3A, Division HRD Human Resource Development has a tertiary forum with universities, both private and public, where training needs services for such tertiary levels are met. This very division, through the tertiary forum, also interacts with private and independent universities to discuss such services. Question 4, the answer is no. Thank you.
Go back to your seat. Honorable Makubele, any further question?
Thank Chairperson. Yes, Minister, thank you very much. Fully answered. Thank you.
Any other member with a follow-up question? Honorable Mohoro, can you go back to your seat, please? Because you are disturbing the House. You are having a secondary discussion on your own together with Mr. de Villiers. Move. Just move. Move. Can we? Okay. Honorable Ngobe.
Deputy Chairperson, I'm not sure that will be relevant to what the Minister was responding to on the victim of empowerment. To say what are the programs are there in place to rehabilitate policemen who still practice the brutal, the vicious and racial tendencies to suspects. A case in hand is what was done by the police in the Western Cape on Friday, who stripped and kicked a suspect naked and dumped in the field. How do you rehabilitate? How does the department rehabilitate such tendencies demonstrated by police? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Well, if there are such cases, Honorable Member, they are taken through criminal justice system. But if they are found to be criminal acts, there is no rehabilitation. The rehabilitation is the orange uniform of Minister here next to me. There's no rehabilitation on crimes. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Can we go to the next one? That is question 5.
Question 4, yeah. Well,
4.
thanks, Honorable Chair, and the question by Honorable Member Van Linge. The acts, the Gatherings Acts of 1993 and the Dangerous Weapons Act of 2013 are very clear in terms of the carrying of weapons. In fact, more clarified with the latest, the passing of the Dangerous Weapons Act. So they don't need any directive. However, a circular regarding the entry into force and implementation of the new Dangerous Weapons Act of 2013 was sent out to provinces by the National Commissioner on the 9th of September 2013. The circular deals with the prohibition of carry firearms or any object resembling a firearm and dangerous weapon at demonstrations and gatherings. It also deals with the disarming of participants at a demonstration or gathering if the circumstances permit, and with identification and prosecution of persons carrying firearms or dangerous weapons. I must add here, Honorable Deputy Chair, that last month we were on a campaign for awareness on this particular act. Adverts in the media, both electronic and print media. But we must emphasize the point that as members of parliament, we must spread the gospel. There is no need for people who are demonstrating, exercising their democratic rights, to do that armed. Both the Constitution and the Act provides and assures people or assure people on demonstration but unarmed. So there is no reason for you to exercise your democratic right and go on and be armed, because if you do that, we are then violating the Act. But we must also say that you are no longer going to say that if somebody damages property, you say, no, there were elements in our march or our demonstration, we don't know about them. You as an organizer have an obligation. You will take that responsibility. If some people come to your march, it is your responsibility to ensure that you don't have rogue elements in those particular demonstrations. Thank you.
Honorable Van Lingen, is there a further question? There's one behind you.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I would like to ask the Minister how we distinguish between traditional weapons and in terms of dangerous weapons.
Well, see, you can come up with your traditional weapon to traditional gatherings. And the Act provides for that. There are people who would carry all sorts of weapons for particular, whether it's heritage, program or traditional or whatever, even religion. That is provided for in the law. What is not provided for is when people are going to a demonstration, to a march, to a strike, and carry weapons. There, it's very clear people are prohibited from carrying weapons in those particular instances. If you want to apply for a traditional weapon in a traditional circumstances, a function or event or whatever, that can be done within the bounds of the law. But why would you want to go to a strike with a traditional or not traditional weapon? It doesn't make sense, because those very weapons which are carried there are used to hurt and harm other people, are used to destroy property. So they are prohibited. Thank you.
Thanks. Minister, can we proceed and answer question 5?
Question 5. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. The public order policing in South Africa are well trained. And we've had this thing from some specialists, so-called, and analysts on security matters. And we have said this before, and I'm saying it now, I'm challenging anybody, that you can benchmark the public order policing in South Africa with anybody in the world, the best, if you like. There are issues which we have to deal with in South Africa. For instance, when we re-established public order policing in 2011, after being discontinued much earlier on in the 2000s, at the time of their discontinuing, we had about 12,000 dedicated members of public order policy. To date, we have 4,300. And if you compare that period and now, you would see that public protests were not as high as they are today. So you do have a challenge of a unit which is being rebuilt in terms of its numbers. But we also have other challenges when it comes to equipment, for instance. That if I can make an example with water cannons in public protest. In South Africa today, we have 28 units of public order policy. And ideally, you would want each and every unit to have a water cannon so that you are able to meet the challenges which we are faced with currently. But at the moment, we have 10 water cannons nationally. And we must also understand that we are competing with a variety of needs in society. Each water cannon costs you 10 million rands. So if we are short of 10 million rands from that point of view. Secondly, you also need nyalas. You know, one is nyala, in the plural is nyalas. It can't be ama. Now, the strength we have there is 209. Ideally, you'd want to have 562 nyalas. And again, it's in the same region. Each nyala would cost you about 10 million rands. Now, this is the reality which we are faced with. And when it comes to personnel, we have seen this gap of the numbers, but we have also seen that there are primary respondents who are not trained to deal with the situations. Your municipal police, for instance, whether metro or otherwise. And we've decided that we would need to train municipal police including your metros, so that they act as a force multiplier. And we've started that process. We got all of them on Sunday. We've been preparing for that for the past few months. And yesterday, they started training. We'll continue to ensure that we extend this even to police stations so that people are able to respond at that level. It doesn't become the job of the public order policing alone. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable van Lingen, do you have a further question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, from what I understood the Minister was saying is that in 2012, if I heard correctly, he had 12,000 public order police service men. And now, 2 years later, he's got 4,000. So the service is reduced by a tremendous amount. Now, did the equipment also get reduced, or I don't understand, because there's not a balance between the equipment that he may have had at the time and now the police staff is far less. That's the one side of the story. And then we need to know what is being done in future to get them better trained and better equipped and more employed to be able to handle the current large number of service protests that we have in. Thank you.
I think the honorable member likes this thing of better trained. I've challenged her and others about the training. What we must know about the training is that, like road to social progress, it is always under construction. But where we stand in terms of training, I don't have fear of any contradiction insofar as training is concerned. As I said, there are other things which we are looking into. One, the issue of personnel, and two, the equipment. Some of the equipment, obviously, has been obsolete, precisely because you had shut down a unit which was performing the job. And in that instance, you have not serviced some of the equipment. There is a certain level of equipment which can still be refurbished, but there are those which are totally obsolete. Every year we have planned for recruiting even more members of public order policy. But when it comes to training, what you see here is that police in South Africa police very volatile situations of people going to demonstrations armed. If you look at, for instance, you make an example about Marikana, people there were armed and having spears and such weapons. In that situation, your public order policy anywhere else in the world has never faced that kind of a situation. It's a very difficult situation. With the training police have, it's a difficult situation where people take a decision that we are going to take on the police. Very difficult. It is not an issue of training. It's a matter of the attitude in society, which we need to continuously make a point that people do not or should not arm themselves if they go to demonstrations. Because if they do that, it becomes difficult to apply the training police have to ensure that there is proper controlling of the crowd. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Can we answer the next question?
The next question is again by member.
Minister, can you take your seat?
Sorry?
Can you take your seat?
Oh, sorry.
Honorable van Lingen.
Thank you, Chairperson. I would like to ask the Minister if he is concentrating the units that he has around the hotspots where we are finding these protests and violent protests so that the response time can be quicker. Because if I look at the unit that we have in Port Elizabeth, it takes more than an hour for it to get to Addo or to Humansdorp or to wherever in the vicinity. And it takes much longer for them to get to Craddock, for instance.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. That's precisely the point we are saying. We would be training others, and we have started doing that, including municipal police officers, so that they become a force multiplier. There are no isolated hotspots in South Africa today. The kind of demonstrations you have, the public protest, mostly happen spontaneously throughout the country. You wake up today, there is a barricade in one township or the other. So what makes it difficult for police is that they cannot be everywhere at the same time. That is why we are getting the support of others, including those who are not members of the public order policing unit, to be part and parcel of the training and understand how to help when there are public protests. Thank you.
Can you answer the next question?
Well, thanks, Honorable Deputy Chair. The question by Member Van Linge, the answer to your question, Honorable Member, is no. The South African Police Service does not have any plans to re-establish specialized unit called SA Narcotic Bureau. The reason is that narcotics are part of highly organized crime, and as such, they've been located to DPCI, which deals with organized crime. And in that way, we think that the unit or the division has been effective in dealing with this highly organized type of crime. Thank you.
This is the last one. Come on, this. Any follow-up question? Thanks. Let us proceed and answer the next question, Minister.
Thank you,
Question 19.
Honorable Deputy Chair, and thanks to Honorable Member Roto. The answer to the question is that the SAPS has adopted community policing approach, and that's the philosophy which we came up with since 1994 to reduce crime levels and restore community confidence as mandated in the Constitution of 1996 and the SAPS Act of 1995, Act 65 of 1995. Community policing fora are in place at all police station precincts to ensure that communities are actively involved in community safety and policy. This approach is further strengthened by applying sector policing as policing methodology, which provides for a problem-solving approach and involvement of community members at sector level to bring policing closer to communities and allow for addressing crime proactively. A rural safety strategy has been implemented focusing on safety in rural areas, providing better access to policing in rural areas. And this includes your villages, it includes your farm areas and some semi-rural areas. Ensuring improved service, delivery and policing response to reduce crime and ensure a proactive approach as well as facilitates an integrated approach in addressing rural safety and enhancing community involvement. Specific programs to address vulnerable groups were also implemented in cooperation with other departments in the JCPS cluster, such as victim empowerment programs, child justice programs, campaigns to support 365 days of activism against gender-based violence, and safe school programs. The South African Police Service further embarked on programs including the promulgation of new legislation, namely the Firearms Control Act, to address causes and contributing factors to crime, including improving control over firearms and better regulations to ensure responsible firearm ownership. In addition, programs were implemented to enhance control over dangerous weapons through the implementation of Dangerous Weapons Act of 2013, Act number 15 of 2013, as well as liquor control and drug law enforcement programs. These areas we are enumerating here are the drivers of crime. That is why this particular focus on them. An intelligence-driven approach is further adopted to address crime proactively through the utilization of crime pattern and threat analysis to direct policing patrols, roadblocks, and execution of crime prevention operations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Boroto, any follow-up question?
No follow-up question, but I just want to thank the department for opening of the police station in my constituency, Tweefontein, that has been long-standing. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Any follow-up question? Mama Kaza.
Thank you, House Chairperson. To the Honorable Minister Nyambose, I'd like to know if there are new mechanisms of transforming the system of fingerprints in community services, like in the banks. There are some areas are still using the old method of ink. That's my plea.
Honorable Minister, I don't know whether you've understood the question.
No, it's a good question.
Okay, thanks.
Very, very good. Actually, we can provide details on that. It's mainly has to do with the ICT improvement within the police service, which we can gladly provide details on. And it's a correct observation. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any other follow-up question? In the absence of any, we then proceed to question number 32. Honorable Minister.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. The answer there is yes to Honorable Mfokeng. Numerous mechanisms and measures have been put in place to monitor, to control, and manage firearms within SAPS, and these are, amongst others, 1, marking of firearms by means of dot or pin or barcode. 2, certifying firearms biannually. 3, stock taking annually. 4, fast line inspections. 5, IBIS testing of official firearms. 6, ensuring the enforcement of internal regulations like substanding orders. 7, use of gun retention codes. And 8, issuing of safes to members. 2 years, and although the number of lost firearms has declined over the last couple of years, there is still a need to look at reducing this number even further. The vast majority of firearms are lost as a result of criminal activities, either being taken from officers in violent incidents or are stolen from officers during thefts. However, these represent a smaller number. There are still incidents where the officers themselves have lost their firearms, and because of this, I instructed the National Commissioner to provide a full report on what action has been taken against each of the officers in such areas. And this would be specifically for the year under review, because previous years, different actions were taken, other people were taken through disciplinary processes, and some of the firearms in the process were recovered. So, but for this particular year under review, we have asked that that should be done. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mofokeng, do you have any follow-up question? Okay. In the absence of that, is there any other follow-up question from any other member? All right. We shall then proceed to. Then that was the last question to the Minister of Police. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your responses. May we then proceed to question number 16 to the Minister of State Security. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Mokopi has raised a number of questions regarding current state of violent protests across the country. The responses are as follows. A, yes, in the midst of all these challenges, we do have a good story to tell. The State Security Agency, together with other intelligence agencies, has been successful in providing early warning to law enforcement agencies and other relevant authorities on the planned protest, which has the potential of turning violent. The State Security Agency provides multiple assessments and intelligence to National Intelligence Coordinating Committee, NICOC, which are channeled daily to National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structures Operational Center, NET joints, and at a provincial level, prop joints, which has the structures of the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security, JCPS cluster, where intelligence is operationalized for deployment of law enforcement agencies. 2, we at the same time provide departmental intelligence to the various line function departments or state entities who are responsible for the implementation of government programs. Thirdly, the products that the agency provides to the client focus not only on the causes of the protests, but also to actionable recommendations. The second part of the questions about the causes, in the last 10 years, the SSA has identified the underlying causes, that the underlying causes are multiple and varied. But more importantly, they are perceived or they may be real. Key among these are the following. 1, the mismanagement of the state resources, what others may call corruption or mismanagement, mostly at a local level of government. 2, exploitation of the valid community concern by those who have personal or political ambitions. 3, inadequate communications of the successes and achievement of government, as well as communication of the challenges, particularly as to when and how such challenges will be resolved. Fourthly, the issue of unresponsiveness, particularly at a local level, to community concerns. The other contributing factors include the following. The real lack of understanding of mandates, particularly the municipal mandates, because there are a lot of unfunded mandates which communities expect those at a local level to fulfill. For instance, if we check housing, most of the local municipalities don't have housing mandates. But when people are protesting about houses, they go to municipal offices. They don't go to provincial offices or national offices. Second, the other contributing factor is high levels of unemployment and poverty in our society, particularly among our youth. And who are often, those vulnerable, are often exploited by those who have got personal or other ambitions. The third one is a false notion or perception that government responds only to protests. And sometimes the slow prosecution of the perpetrators of violence, which leads to this idea of impunity, which is happening, that people can do things because they can't see our swift responses. Of course, the responsive government is addressing all these challenges. The last contributing factor I would like to mention here is sabotage of municipal infrastructure, particularly water and electricity, which leads to, which often triggers these angry protests by the residents. The section C of the question is yes. On the swift advice and the integrated response as government, yes, we issue this. First is that one of establishing effective and efficient communications procedure and mechanism at all levels of government. As I've said, including to say if there are challenges, when and how will they be resolved? Because people tend to be scared to say, we're not going to deliver these services this year, but they are provided in the next budget or in the next 3 years. So these are what I think the local government is coordinating in all spheres, and particularly at the local level. The second advice is that one of early political intervention for political problems, and including the visibility of local leadership where concerns are raised. It should be noted, as we have mentioned before, that most of the protests start peacefully and soon degenerate to violence if they are ignored. So this is very important, Chairperson, because people always want police to come first instead of responding to the challenges, particularly local leadership, including we as public representatives, to explain the challenges and communicate those challenges to our people. The third element is that of dealing with these massive challenges, particularly of youth unemployment. As you may know, the government is responding to this challenge, particularly the ruling government under the ANC currently. I think it's the only party which has got decisive plans on how to deal with youth unemployment in the next 5 years. And we hope that this will also reduce some of these challenges we see in the community. Of course, the government capacity must be increased, and we'll continue with this advice we normally give, that we must increase our capacity of government at all levels so that we can be responsive to the needs of the community. We are continuously also advising for increasing the efficiency of our criminal justice system so that we can reduce this culture of impunity. As you know, Chairperson, through the President Zuma's call, the cluster is involved in a program of restoration of the authority of the state in the government as a whole, so that we can really, people must respect the police, people must respect the authority. People, as Minister Mteto has said, even if they've got grievance, they must do it peacefully in terms of our laws and constitution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Honourable Mokobi, is there any follow-up question?
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for a well-elaborated response, Minister. I'm well satisfied. I just want to make a very small follow-up. Just on a situation wherein there is a feeling that a property can be damaged or a house of a councillor can be destroyed. What impact does we have in terms of that, especially in preparing other clusters to prevent that?
Thank you. Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Member. Of course, where we get foreknowledge that there is a plan to damage property, we normally have to send that information to a relevant structure. In this case, it would be local government. And so that they can take the necessary action. And as we said, the information is sent to either to net joints or prof joints so that we can start deploying not only the police, all security agencies, either to prevent that as a deterrent, either to make arrest or disrupt such activities at a local level. We really like to say, and I think all of us in this house, Chairperson, to destroy public infrastructure like clinics, which are so much needed in our communities, particularly by the poor communities who have received such properties for the first time in most of the instances after 1994. It doesn't make sense to destroy public property. To destroy the property, whether it belongs to the councillor or local officials at the municipality level, it doesn't make sense. Because as I've said, in most instances, it is not the responsibilities of the councillors to do those things. Even if you have a perception that that councillor may be corrupt, what you should do as a responsible citizen is to report that person to the police. Minister Mtetwa has got police stations all over South Africa, and they are ready to receive this information so that they can do proper investigation and deal decisively with the corrupt officials. So it doesn't make sense. It is not correct to go and deploy somebody else's property, because those who are abusing the rest of society to mobilize this, the same thing, when it happens to them, they may never like it. So in terms of our scriptures, we say, ungenzi okubi komunye, yenza lokhu othanda nawe ukuthi ungenziwa kuwena. But, as we say, the government is continuing to deliver the services to the people. The government, the backlog is so huge. The oppression and colonialism was more than almost 400 years. To reverse these things is going to take time. That's why I say, yinde le ndlela esihambayo. Yinde le ndlela eyenkululekweni. But step by step, working together as all South Africans from all parties will definitely improve the conditions in every area and every locality in South Africa. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I've noted that there's no any other follow-up question. Therefore, we shall proceed to question number 21. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. Question by Honorable Tau. On the financial sustainability of our in-house medical aid in the State Security Agency. The answer is as follows. The interventions as approved by the Minister of State Security for the sustainability of OPMED, that's how it's called, were introduced over the last financial year. A 25% increase in member contributions were introduced in July last year. And this will continue to happen if we have to make this in-house medical aid sustainable. That will continue in the next 3 years. Other approved sustainability measures which were implemented on the 1st of January this year include the following. The introduction and reduction of limits of a number of benefits. Our in-house medical aid scheme was almost limitless. There's no medical aid which operates like that in terms of benefits. The reduction of number of visits to the general practitioners, the the regulation of the visit to specialists. Previously, we didn't have any limit. Our people actually were jumping the general practitioners, going straight to the specialists, which cost much, much more in terms of payments. So from now on, we don't allow our members to go to specialists without referral by the general practitioner or the house doctor. Positive results have been yielded in that the members' contribution has increased by 5 million in the current financial year, and the contribution mix has improved from 1585 to 1882, and we are slowly and surely moving towards the contribution of 2575 in the next couple of years. I thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I don't know whether if Honorable Tao has got a follow-up question today. In the absence of any other follow-up question from the Honorable Tao, are there any other members that who wishes to make follow-up questions? Okay. In the absence of that, then we'll proceed to question 22. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the last question by Honorable Dan Moses. Is about the relation to the restructuring and placement of and meshing and placement of our members. Of course, here we've got some good story to tell. In that, the process of meshing and placing of staff into new SSA structure has not been finalized. But it is only about 5.7% which still needs to be placed out of all our members. Only 5%, 5.7%. The reasons are as follows, are being that a number of members not placed, they are still being, we are still engaging them and the structures where we're supposed to, because the process is that one of engagement. We didn't want to just force members. You go to their structure, you don't go there. So those are where we're still having problems. We're still having these final negotiations and those who are supposed to receive them. The management is currently engaged in a process to finalize all outstanding cases, including mandatory deployments in a number of cases where all processes of consultations have been exhausted. So when we have consulted and failed, then we'll have to we'll be forced to just place you. It is planned that this placement process will be concluded by end of next month, which is April 2014, Chairperson. The Minister has approved the staffing plan, which is going to be implemented over the next 3 financial years. And we have 479 funded vacancies, members. So those who want to apply and join us, they are welcome. But we are targeting particularly those young ones and those who are unemployed in South Africa, but we'll also consider every suitable member to fill these funded vacancies. It is envisaged that 156 vacancies will be filled this year and at 178 in the next 2 financial years. Oh, and 178 in 2015 and 145 by 2016. These figures include managerial, where most of you may belong, and line functional and entry levels, like cadets position. I thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mutsitsi, do you have any follow-up question? Okay. In the absence of Honorable Mutsitsi not having a follow-up question, any other member who wishes to make a follow-up question? Honorable Nesi?
Thank you very much, Chair. I wanted to ask, Chair, is it honorable for Member de Villiers to look at the back whilst the minister is talking.
Can you speak to the mic? I didn't pick you up.
On. Sorry, Chair. Chair, I wanted to ask, is it honorable for Honorable Member de Villiers to be busy talking at the back whilst the minister is talking, answering? How is he going to explain
To the DA.
to the communities? Thank you very much.
The point of order not only applies to Honorable de Villiers, including Honorable Gunda as well, because what the member is raising, it's just a question of respecting the august stature of the House. And the fact that when ministers are here to respond to questions, that we just extend that honor by listening to what they say, so that we are able to give responses. Because in any case, by any chance, any question that is put to a minister, I mean, it's a privilege that allows members to be empowered and to have better knowledge of the challenges that they are faced with. So I think the question is just to say that let us pay attention when we are in the House. In that way, honorable members, that was the last question. And let me take the opportunity to thank all honorable ministers, deputy minister, for your availability and response to questions that have been put to your department. And honorable members, that concludes the business of the day, and the House is adjourned.